Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, Overcoming Emotional Abuse from the Point of the Abuser. And I have been an abusive person emotionally and mentally for 19 years or so. And this is my journal of learning, sharing, thinking about, reading, maybe things that help me and encourage me, and it can encourage you to overcome being an abuser. And I want to say that the first and most important thing that anybody needs to do from the point of the abuser is to come to a realization that you are an abusive person. And this is a little bit shocking, I think, for a lot of people. Maybe there are some people who are abusive physically, and then emotional abuse is also very involved in that, obviously. But for people like me who I don't have any physical abuse whatsoever with my family, so for me to admit to being an abusive person is shocking to me. For 19 years, I wrestled with this idea. Didn't really wrestle with it. Sorry, I take that back. My wife shared these ideas with me, and I pushed them aside and said, there's no way that I'm an abusive person. I think I equated abuse with physical abuse only. And so now, 19 years later, I have really discovered that actually I am a emotionally abusive person to my wife and to my kids, and so I'm starting to work through this process. I want to encourage you that if you have anything that is similar to me in my past, that you are probably an abusive, mentally abusive person, emotionally abusive person. So I want to read off some of these things that I found on the internet. This website is called Mind and Body Lifestyle. I think that's it, mindandbodylifestyle.com or something. Yes, mindandbodylifestyle.com. And this is written from the point of view of someone who had been abused and not from the abusive side. So, I'm coming from the abusive side, and I want to read some of the definitions of mental abuse. You can find this on mindandbodylifestyle.com. Definition of mental abuse. Mental abuse is defined as the occurrence of someone's well-being, self-worth, and or emotional state being purposefully neglected or reduced, also referred to as mental abuse. This typically happens by the abuser verbally abusing the victim and manipulating them in some way. Mental abuse can come in many degrees and can occur in any relationship. It's more typical to see it in a romantic relationship as the abuser has more control. This is due to the love that the victim feels toward them. Signs of mental abuse. So this is what I want to kind of go over today and share with so that we can know, we can decide and admit to being a mentally abusive person. So signs of mental abuse. Mental abuse is any word or gesture that is meant to tear down in some way. Humiliation, embarrassment, any other verbal expression used to put down, control, intimidate, or manipulate you are all part of mental abuse. One might experience at the hand of their abuser. Here are several examples of that. Okay. And I'll kind of go over this just briefly. So I'll share the different pieces and then you can research some of them if you like a little bit more. They'll disregard your accomplishments. They will disregard your accomplishments. This is the first and foremost. Your spouse, your friend, your employee accomplishes something, they move up into business or they have some success in their life, and you disregard. You disregard their accomplishments. Making someone feeling bad for something that they have done because they look better than you. This is mental and emotional abuse. Name calling, number 2. This form of abuse, verbal abuse, is a clear sign that someone is okay with mentally or emotionally abusing. When an abuser talks badly about their loved one, in quotes, or name calls on purpose, they are trying to manipulate them. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, criticizing appearance. Sometimes the abuser will not only be critical of the way that you look, but they may say rude things about your loved ones as well. They may pick on your certain features, disapprove of the clothes that you choose to wear, or pick on you about your hair. Okay, this is number 2, criticizing appearances. Number 4, undermine and belittle you. Usually an abuser will undermine you by tearing you down. You could be really excited about something and they'll play it off like it is absolutely worthless and nothing. You may also speak up for yourself or voice an opinion about something and they'll cut you down right away. This will try to make you feel like you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, this is number 4, undermining and belittling you. The next one, number 5, lack of privacy. They will spy on you, not let you have anything for yourself. They will forcefully be involved in every area of your life. Typically, this type of control will be done in the name of them caring about you or wanting to protect you. I experience this a lot. I really want to know what my wife's up to because I want to know how it's going to affect my time and the things that I want to do. Demands. The abuser might demand that you do something for them. They might order you around and try to make you feel nervous or scared of them if you don't comply. Okay, another one, they lie. The abuser does not start out with lies. It will most likely come to it at some point. They may make things up about your family or your friends to manipulate you. This is, even using white lies, like small, simple things, is crazy. The person writing this article, they give an example about how the boyfriend that they had enjoyed gum and they enjoyed classic rock. And yet whenever she had gum and he didn't, he complained about it and said really silly things about it, even though he liked gum. And that whenever she played classic rock, even though it was the music of choice for him, that she always got complained at, and so she always had to turn the music off. That's just crazy. An emotional abuser might disrespect you. The abuser may disrespect you in public or in private. They may deliberately flirt with someone else to mess with your emotions. Their actions will always be one-sided. They will expect the best treatment from you, but they will mistreat and abuse you all the time. Emotional abusers will also deny their behavior. Not only will they deny their behavior if you try to call them out on it, but they will act like they're offended that you think of them like that. They may also try to turn it around on you and say that basically just wear you down until you drop the subject. So there's many methods of control that exists among emotional abusers. There's threatening behavior. There's financial controlling. The mood of the emotional abuser is very unpredictable. Their goal is to keep you wondering what you're going to do next, or how you're going to feel, or how you're going to respond, so that you make decisions based on their controlling spirit. So then they've really controlled you. They have really messed you up. They like to create overdependence. They'll claim that they need you in their life and that they cannot live without you. They will make you seem like they will kill themselves if you leave them. This is usually a lie to manipulate you to stay. This is something that I have a hard time with. I don't ever try to say that I'm going to kill myself, but I try to create overdependence on myself so that my wife needs me and doesn't do things with other people. And this is evil. This is terrible. I can't even believe it. Like as I read it, I don't actually think about these things or try these things, but this is something that I actually do. And it comes from within me. And I want to say that I don't have in my mind, I don't have these crazy ideas coming out. I'm really not thinking these things like this, but I do it in order to protect myself, in order to protect my relationship with my wife, in order to protect my time, in order to protect the money that I want to spend on something else. These are things that I do in order to protect, and I do it in uh, I do it because I tell her that I'm protecting her. But it's crazy. These ideas are absolutely crazy. As I read through this, it's like unbelievable. I do these things, but this is crazy. Extreme ideas. If you haven't guessed by now, abusers have no problem making stuff up in order to keep you under their control. One of the last wild concepts that her boyfriend had was the when I was in she says when she was in the process of leaving him, was that I was so messed up that I was not able to love anyone, so I should just stay with him. Yeah, these are crazy ideas. We come up with extreme ideas as people who abuse others emotionally because we want to maintain control of the situation. And so sometimes we'll say and do things that are unbelievably extreme in order to get a grip on the person who is with us. Emotional abusers will guilt trip you. Anything that they can think of to make you indebted to them. Examples of emotional abuse: subtle manipulation. An example of mental abuse that many abusers will adopt is to make the victim choose between their well-being and the happiness of is to make the victim choose between their well-being and happiness and the abusers. So either you're going to feel good or I'm going to feel good, but if you feel good, you're going to injure me or hurt me. Often an abuser will subtly make the victim choose between them and their family or friends. I have had experience with this in so many ways, and I feel like this is really interesting. I'm glad that I'm able to share this with myself because I can see and feel this experience in my life because I want to feel loved by my wife more than she loves her family. And so oftentimes I will make her choose between her family and friends and between me because I want to feel more loved than I see that she loves her family. Crazy. Why in the world? Obvious abuse. An example of obvious form of mental abuse is when someone uses verbal abuse to directly impact the victim's emotional state. They will be blunt and open about their wishes that force you to compromise yourself in some way. They will mock you, intimidate you, and possibly even threaten you into doing whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish. Excuse me. Sometimes they will cause a scene in public and make you look like you are the problem. I totally did this. I totally did this when I was just about ready to get married. We were buying presents for the for the bridesmaids and for the groomsmen. And I was annoyed about the amount of money that we were spending for these gifts, and my wife wasn't paying attention to me. And so I pitched a fit in public, and she told me I was acting like white trash. And I ripped off my shirt and I said, "White trash? Is this white trash?" I can't even believe I did this. This is obvious abuse. I was being crazy. I don't know how she put up with me ever. Emotional, mental abuse from parents. Well, I'm not going to go into that part because I don't feel like that was something that I really experienced a lot of. So, yeah, going over this, it's called the mindandbodylifestyle.com. You can look up a definition of mental abuse. The lady who wrote the article, she wrote from the point of being the one being abused. Her name is Marissa, and she is pretty passionate about mental and emotional health. And I feel like her articles are pretty good on this website so far, and I've learned a lot of things about her side of things, being the one who is being abused, and as I read through this, I can really see that I have a lot of things to work on. And I also see that these areas that I have that I need to work on, if I had paid attention a little bit more in the beginning when my spouse was telling me that I was having trouble, I was having problems, I would be in a lot better position than I am in today. And so I want to encourage you, okay, myself included, because eventually I'm going to watch these videos again and go back over and rehash some of the things that I dealt with in my life. But I encourage you to consider looking into what your spouse is saying, looking into what your family member is saying, or what your boss is saying about you. If you're an emotionally abusive person, you're going to have one or all the characteristics that I just read. I have these characteristics in my heart, and these are the things that I'm learning how to change, and I'm learning how to deal with life in a different way. Now, my wife said, "Hey, I'm not going to put up with it anymore." And so, for the most part, over the last couple months, she said, "No, that's not cool. I'm not going to go with that." And so I have to make a decision to change. I have to make a decision to remember the things that I read on websites like this, the things that I've watched in videos about being an abuser, or about those who are experiencing emotional abuse and what it looks like. I have to look back on those things and I have to say, whoa, hold up. There's something going on here and I need to fix it. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to continue in the relationship with my wife. I'm not going to be able to develop a loving and caring, compassionate relationship with her or with my kids. So I want to encourage you today to take a stand for your family, to take a stand for the relationships that are important to you, whether that be your spouse or your kids, or whether that be your family or your boss, and say, I've got a problem, and start researching it and start looking into it and discovering what are the things that you do, why you do them, and learn how to adjust the things that you do to not be selfish anymore, not be all about taking care of you, but start looking at the other's needs first, caring for the other person, caring for the one who's your spouse or your child or your parents or the relationships that you have, and give your all to them. And I promise you that when you give to other people who are loving and kind and compassionate, they're going to give you what you need. But when you try to take from them, that you're not going to get what you want. You're not going to get what you need. You are only going to get pain and hardship, and they're going to leave you. So this is the thing that we need to do, is to really come to grips with who we are as an emotional abuser and say, that is something that I do, that is something that I struggle with, and I must stop so that I can start living right, so I can start building relationships properly. So that's all that we have for today. And if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want to subscribe, please go ahead. And I'm excited to see what God will do through this channel, if not only for myself. Take care.